If you're like me, you're probably wondering how the heck anyone, let alone a celebrity rapper, could actually be sent to serve actual time in California because, as we know, it's a very felon friendly location. Well, my guess is that since the victim is also a celebrity rapper, Megan Thee Stallion, there was a little more pressure and more eyes on the case. Either way, this is interesting for sure. Now, for her part, Megan Thee Stallion posted on social media that Lanes did it and also F the hate campaign on the internet. Eloquent as usual. Here to weigh in and help us make sense of it all is Caldwell Institute for Public Safety founder and Fox News political analyst, Gianno Caldwell. All right, Gianno, I know you're very passionate about this. We heard, that possibly he could be exonerated here. I want you to give my audience what they don't know and your analysis of actually what went down.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. And I got to tell you, I've been involved in looking into this case for almost about 6 months exactly now. It was brought to me by a board member, Diana London, with the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety, who regularly says she believed Tory Lanez was innocent. And as I looked through the case and I noticed a number of irregularities in the case, I began to come to that same conclusion that this was an innocent person. Let me take you back to the very beginning. First and foremost, we got a George Soros-funded prosecutor named George Gascon who was prosecuting this case. He was, at the time, coming off of his second recall attempt. He was in severe trouble as he had lost support in numerous demographics, key demographics to his electoral success, including Black women. And he needed to do whatever he could to possibly win this election. I believe if Jesus Christ was Tory Lanez's attorney, Tory Lanez would have still lost his case no matter what. Tory's attorneys have alleged prosecutorial misconduct, suppressing of evidence, exculpatory evidence being withheld. And I believe them based on the facts. Let me take you to Kelsey Harris, who was in the car, because there was 4 people in the car that night. Tory's bodyguard, Kelsey Harris, Megan Pete, also known as Megan Thee Stallion, and then Tory himself. When they got into this particular altercation, Megan Pete, Megan Thee Stallion, and her best friend, according to the new evidence that has been mentioned by way of an affidavit from Kelsey Harris's bodyguard during the days of trial, he admits to hearing her say in the car to a male passenger who's believed to be her child's father that she, one, how could she testify without telling on herself? Number one, she went to court that day, pleaded the fifth. The prosecution gave her immunity. Immunity from what? She was never accused by the prosecution. She was never accused by Megan Pete. Why plead the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination? That didn't make sense to me. According to the bodyguard in another conversation in that car during this same period of time, she says that she got the gun out the car, which was in her bag, shot the gun in the air 3 times. Tory ran over there to stop her, pushing her hand down, and 2 more gunshots went into the ground. That is where it's reasonable to believe the wounds came from for Megan Thee Stallion. But why is it that they never tested her DNA onto the gun? You knew that she had gunpowder on her hand. They found that out. Why didn't they test that? Why is it that they added this enhancement to his case? Now, enhancements are used for violent gang members, people with a history of brutal crime. George Gascon has had numerous people who have had brutal crimes that he didn't recommend an enhancement. One by the name of Raymond Danger Gonzalez, who murdered, premeditated 2 individuals, including a teenager, and he stole their money. No recommendation for enhancements from George Gascon. Or the General Hospital actor Johnny Wachter. He was brutally murdered. No recommendation for enhancements. So this led me to believe instantly that George Gascon had put on a front. He wanted to pretend to be tough on crime so he could have a silver bullet for his next election because he had a Black woman that he can say that he protected. And it's insane that unfairness is pushing through our justice system, but we've seen this with numerous cases with George Gascon. And that's why the Caldwell Institute got involved in this case, because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
So I want to kind of break down what you said there and make sure I'm getting it correctly. Basically, what you're telling me is that, and what we heard as well, is that Tory Lanez was just trying to de-escalate it and, smacked the gun down to, try to lessen the damage or the violence or the carnage that could occur. And then that's what happened. Why do you think Megan Thee Stallion, we saw her social media post, why do you think she's gunning for Tory Lanez so hard? Do you think that she actually thinks that he did it? Or do you think that maybe there's some other motivations there? Because she's pretty adamant that he shot her.
Well, I can't speak to what her thoughts are. I can only surmise what I think makes sense logically. One, you said from the very beginning that he did it, and you never mentioned your best friend. Your best friend got immunity. Immunity from what? And this has been a career high for her since that incident occurred. So if people come out and, for those who may not know, Tory Lanez recently was stabbed in prison multiple times, almost lost his life, stabbed in the back of the head, stabbed in the face, stabbed in the stomach, literally almost died. And there's an instance for that I want to get into in our next bite. But yeah, if people found out that she lied about the situation, then that would be career suicide for her. She would lose a lot of support. You put a man in jail for 10 years, and he's already served almost 3 of those years. And to that point that I mentioned earlier, in terms of him getting stabbed in prison, I've been working on an op-ed with the New York Post, almost a month working on this op-ed. We had just got it to the point where they felt comfortable enough to go out for comment to George Gascon, Kelsey Harris, and Megan Thee Stallion's camp. Megan Thee Stallion's camp reached out and said, hey, we want to know what you have in an op-ed. We want more information. The Post set up a call with them. They told them what they had. I'm not sure exactly what details they shared. But then days later, Tory Lanez is almost murdered in prison. Is there a connection there? I don't know, but it's quite eerie, to be honest. So this is a really messy ball, one in which, as a 10-year member of the press, I'm really bizarrely intrigued why there hasn't been members of the press all over this story, because there's been so many elements that does not make sense and beg open questions. We have so many questions that need to be answered. Prosecution couldn't answer it, the media couldn't answer it, and certainly Megan Pete has not answered it.
Yeah. Also, I think that you're right, probably about Gascon, but also about the media. They don't want to cross Megan Thee Stallion because she's a huge star. We know that she performed for a Kamala Harris rally, quite inappropriately, I might also add. But I think that they don't want to go after her. They don't want to question her because, of course, that's taboo. You can't question, let alone a celebrity, but a black female celebrity. Oh, we know what the ramifications of that are. So this is all pretty wild. Thank you for getting involved in this because, it's not often that you have not only a member of Congress who is saying, hey, free Tory Lanez, but also you putting your weight behind it. It's something that's important that needs to be heard. Thank you for bringing all this to our attention. We certainly have to pay attention to it. And your point is well taken that in California, it's very hard to be locked up for anything. So very weird that this resulted in a 10-year sentence. That's pretty unheard of.
It absolutely is. And that's why we put a petition on the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety website, which is what the Congresswoman tweeted out. We've had names like Drake tweeted out to his 149 million followers on Instagram, Ty Dolla $ign, dozens of other celebrities, notables, who just want fairness. If you're a person who may say, you look at it and say, no, I'm not so sure, Tory might have done it, or you believe that he did it, does he deserve an enhancement? He doesn't have a record of violence in his background. I mean, we know that. So I would say that he doesn't deserve an enhancement, and these are 3 gun-related crimes. If you can prove that Kelsey Harris, it was her gun, he stopped her, then there's no real case. So that's why it's just so intriguing. I felt that it was so necessitous to get behind this. And we put up a petition just last week, which is almost at 300,000 signatures, because the governor, Gavin Newsom, I know we've all had things to say about the governor and his politics, and that's fine, it's political discourse. But this is an action that he can take. He can right an injustice by pardoning Tory Lanez, getting him out of jail right away, take a look at the evidence, that the prosecution didn't want us to see, and say, enough is enough. Bring them out. Like I mentioned, MLK said it quite clearly. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I started my institute to hold criminals accountable. So this is something much different for me. I wasn't expecting to be involved in a case of getting somebody out of jail. But when you see such an injustice like this, I have no choice but to act, Tomi.
Right. Well, maybe President Trump will take a look. We know that, this is important stuff to him as well. Final question on this particular point. Do you think Gavin Newsom has it in him to go against Megan Thee Stallion and the establishment that surrounds her?
Well, I pray that he does. I know, as you just mentioned, Megan Thee Stallion is one of the biggest elites in the country, probably around the world. She's connected to some of the biggest beacons of political power that there are, business interests. She has a lot of money and support and power behind her. Tory Lanez is a victim. He doesn't have that kind of support and power that she has. So it's certainly it has a negative balance on his side because he doesn't have that kind of support. And he's never had people come out like me to speak and say that I believe this guy's innocent, or even write an op-ed, or either other people who have joined this effort. The Congresswoman, there's never been this kind of thing. Megan has a lot of power. So I'm hopeful that he will look at the facts. I'm hopeful that he would act with integrity on this issue. And I'm hopeful he would do justice in this issue because Tory has a son at home. He needs to get home to his kid. And the fact that he almost was murdered for something I believe he didn't do is just, I mean, irreparable harm to the justice system itself.
You're exactly right on that. Well, we'll keep following it. Thank you for bringing light to it, of course, with your wonderful institute.
Now, before I start this video, I would like to thank Frescoby Flexing on TikTok for the story. Now, you heard Tomi Lahren, who is a conservative blogger, and along with a reporter she just interviewed, confirmed they are also supporting Tory Lanez. And I told you before, ever since the Congresswoman came out, she basically, all of them are now supporting Tory Lanez because, let's just be real, Tory's innocent. There's lack of evidence proving that Tory shot Meg and proving that it was Kelsey that shot Meg. All the evidence are coming out now, and they already said that they were waiting on the new evidence to come out. Hopefully be before Memorial Day weekend that they will talk about the new evidence they're talking about. But I'm going to say like this. You have federal governments involved, the Congresswoman out of Florida, you got Tomi Lahren, a conservative blogger. Now you have other celebrities like Drake. Everybody now are Team Tory Lanez. This isn't good for Megan Thee Stallion. This isn't good for Rock Nation or Kelsey. Even though she had that power in entertainment, but then you have to deal with politics and government officials. This isn't good at all. So the thing of it is that Megan need to take this L, because you can't win against the federal government. Even if you are a major celebrity, you can't even win against them. Especially if you have an innocent man, put an innocent man in prison for 10 years. That ain't no way. So everything is now coming out. And again, my thoughts is that I believe Friday, before Memorial Day weekend, that's when everybody will introduce new evidence about the Tory Lanez case. So I believe this is going to be that 36-hour period that the Congresswoman was talking about. So I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you one last time, Megan Thee Stallion need to take this L. So is Rock Nation. And Kelsey shot herself in the foot when a bodyguard even wrote an affidavit saying that it was her that shot Meg. I'm telling you, now the story went to the mainstream media. And then added insult to injury, Tory almost lost his life. I'm telling you, this isn't good for Meg. This isn't good. You have politicians and celebrities all coming in support of Tory Lanez. This isn't good. And this PR campaign that Megan's doing, it isn't working anymore. When she wrote a letter, oh, Tory, you shot, it's not working. We know that Meg lied before. Remember the Gayle King interview, when she lied about not having sex with Tory Lanez, and then another lie that she brought up, and then and guess what? Her back was turned. How do you know Tory shot her? Impossible. So this is going to be interesting because I think today will be the day, because this is the 36-hour period that the Congresswoman Anna Luna will present evidence, will reveal the new evidence they were talking about in the Tory Lanez case. And I believe that Governor Gavin Newsom has to pardon Tory Lanez. It's too much pressure now. It's too much pressure. It's time to free Tory. So y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments.